everybody. Welcome to Coffee Chat. I'm Andy Bozarth, Community Outreach and Advocacy Director for AARP Kansas, and we're glad you joined us today. I'm joined also by Ronda Hassig, and she is with the Lone Milken Center. Boy, that's a mouthful. How are you doing today, Ronda?
I'm doing great, thank you. It's beautiful today in Fort Scott, Kansas. Very pretty. Nice day.
It's beautiful in Topeka, Kansas, too. And as you said, you are from Fort Scott, Kansas. And can you tell me a little bit about what the Lone Milken Center does in Fort Scott, Kansas?
Lone Milken Center, Lone Milken Center brings, for Unsung Heroes, brings lots of tourists to Fort Scott, Kansas, which is a town of about 7,000 people. And this center opened in 2007. And it literally showcases people, unsung heroes. And our foundational hero was found in 1999, I mean literally found in 1999 by 3 young high school girls and their teacher, social studies teacher, in Uniontown, Kansas, about 20 minutes away, doing their History Day project. They found a lady named Irina Sindler, who was a righteous Gentile, a Polish Catholic woman who had saved 2,500 Jewish children from the Warsaw Ghetto. And she literally was living anonymously. She has a tree in Yad Vashem. They knew about her. But other than that, because Poland was communist, she was really unsung. Nobody really knew about her. And the girls found her, and they opened this center, 8 years later, with the help of Lone Milken, to have kids all over the world, K-12, try to find unsung heroes and create projects that are either a video documentary, a web page, a play. We've extended it to artwork, and we have a museum here that shows all of that, all the different literally projects that kids have done finding unsung heroes from all over the world. So people come to visit here because we're really one of a kind. There's no other that we are aware of here, unsung hero museum that works with, in the last 14 years, we've touched close to 3 million students worldwide and 17,000 schools. We've had visitors from every state of the union here and 104 countries. You just never know. We had somebody from Argentina last week.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, they come, they know this place is here. And the Fort, of course, is here. The National Park Service runs the Fort, Fort Scott. But that's what this place is for. So.
Wow, what a brilliant concept to have some place to honor unsung heroes. It's a really nice idea. And it's here in Fort Scott, Kansas.
And the teacher and one of the students are the program director and executive director. They worked with Lone Milken to make this place happen.
Yeah. Oh, how nice. Can you tell me a little bit about who Lone Milken is?
Well, Lone Milken, obviously, is a very wealthy man. He lives in California. He is very, very, he loves education. He's a great promoter of education. And what's amazing about this place is he knew the teacher, because the teacher had won the Lone Milken Education Award 7 years before these girls found Irina Sindler. He gives $25,000 to a teacher, an outstanding teacher in every state of the union every year, and has been doing it for decades, and hand delivers it, the money.
And
Norm, the teacher, had won that. So Lowell knew him, and when Norm came to him and said, we want to make this bigger, Lowell was willing to do that. So he but he stays very involved with our programming here. And of course, the park that the AARP funds are going for is called the Lone Milken Park, Unsung Heroes Park. So yeah, he's an amazing man with a huge heart, and he loves anything to do with education. So
I appreciate getting a little bit of history around him. And can you tell me, you brought up that there's funding from AARP for the Unsung Heroes Park. Can you tell me what the Unsung Heroes Park is?
Absolutely. So the spot of land that the Lone Milken Center for Unsung Heroes is built on, there was a fire in Fort Scott that destroyed 7 100-year-old buildings on the main street. And so there was all this space. So Milken, built the center here in 2007 on the corner, and it's beautiful. There's also a vacant lot next to it. And that lot was owned by the city, and they had put a fountain in there, and they put a bench, but they really hadn't gotten much further than that. And last year, Mr. Milken said, well, you know what? Let's buy it, and we'll make it an Unsung Hero Park. So we can put 12 additional Unsung Heroes out in the park, and people can walk around when we're not open, when the center's not open, and learn about unsung heroes, these amazing people that did amazing things for people. So that's what the park is. And right now we have turf. We have turf. We have the sidewalk's been done. Today they're actually, I believe, working on putting in the wrought iron fencing. And in a week or two, we'll be getting all the trees and the landscaping, and everything will be full grown, because Mr. Milken did not want anybody in Fort Scott or any visitors to have to wait to see the trees grow.
Oh, how nice.
It's going to look really great here by beginning of October. Every day something gets done and it gets more beautiful. So
that's incredible.
And so you might want to know why the park's important. Because downtown, we don't really have in Fort Scott, other than the fort, we don't have a lot of green space. We have a park, Gun Park, which is on the outside skirts of town, that's beautiful, right, but it's difficult for people who live downtown. We have 2 big old buildings that have been turned into condos. And so people need a place to go, a place to walk, a place to go sit down and enjoy nature, or have a sandwich, or, drink a soda or whatever. And oh my gosh, to do that and be able to learn about people at the same time, that's why the park is very, very important and significant.
Oh, I think the park is.
Before you asked it,
you did. That was my next question, actually, and I'm glad you answered it. And the park is really important. Can you tell me a little bit about what's going to be featured in the park now?
Okay. So the park is called the Unsung Heroes Park, Lone Milken Unsung Heroes Park, and we're going to have 11 storyboards. Which, if you've ever been to like a national park, or you've walked through a historical site, you'll see these kind of large, I don't know, sometimes they're pretty good size. These will be good size. They'll be like 3 feet by 4 feet big, that stand up. The beauty of them is you can switch them in and out. So, because we have lots of unsung heroes that students have found. So the pictures and the stories go on each one of those. And AARP, bless their hearts, they paid for the 6 of the storyboards. And one of those storyboards will feature a native son of Fort Scott, none other than Gordon Parks, who is the most amazing African-American man, who was a movie director, playwright, a poet, an author, a composer, the man, and of course, a Life photographer, a Life magazine photographer. So he was this amazing person. And we have had students do projects on him, but we don't have one inside the museum. He will be in the park, which is really exciting. So we have a Jurassic Mary will be in the park, the lady who found the dinosaurs. And there was a movie done recently about her, Mary Anning. Amos Bronson Alcott, the father of Louisa May, who was the most progressive educator of his time. He would be now in some places. Chester Nez, who was a Navajo code talker, which is awesome. Juanita Moody, who was a cryptologist, was great with math, and ends up working for the NSA. She helped decode Nazi messages, and eventually goes on. What made her really famous was she helped during the Cuban Missile Crisis. Okay.
Oh, wow.
And Henrietta Swan Leavitt, who was a human computer at Harvard Observatory back in the early 1900s, and she found out how to measure the universe by looking at stars. Now, I'm sure you may have heard of Gordon Parks because you're from Kansas. My assumption is you've probably not heard of any of those other people.
Have not.
Of course you haven't, because they're unsung. They're people that didn't get recognition but did truly amazing things. So
I just think this is a wonderful concept to honor unsung heroes, and I just am so honored that AARP could be a part of it. And again, congratulations on winning the AARP Challenge Grant in 2021.
Awesome.
I want to kind of know a little bit more about Fort Scott. Can you tell me about Fort Scott, Kansas, where this really nice museum is?
Exactly. Well, a lot of people will come to the museum and they're like, well, if the girls were from Uniontown, why didn't the museum go in Uniontown? Well, Uniontown has like about 150 people. So Fort Scott was awesome because, of course, we have the fort. Fort Scott was literally begun in 1842. I mean, it's one of the oldest towns, west of the Mississippi. And it was put up basically as to protect the Indians from the whites and the whites from the Indians. And it connected to Fort Leavenworth in the north and Fort Still in the south. And it functioned basically until like 1850s, 1854. And then, of course, the Civil War began and Lincoln opened it back up again. And hopefully people that are listening know about Bleeding Kansas. We are literally right in the middle of what was Bleeding Kansas. We are 10 minutes from the Missouri border, which for some Kansans, myself being born in Lawrence, Kansas, is a very frightening thing. All of our cannons in Fort Scott do not point north. They all point east towards Missouri.
Oh, interesting.
Absolutely. We have a national cemetery here. All the cannons point to the east. And of course, then we have the fort. And the fort was shut down after the Civil War. Then it was reopened when they were having some trouble with the railroads, because Fort Scott was a huge railroad center. And then after all that finished, then it closed down again. And then the National Park Service reopened it as a national historical site. And if you've not been to it, it's an amazing place. Really, truly has, park rangers that show you around, has interactive museum, and the buildings are all in great shape. And it's very cool. And then the other thing we have in Fort Scott that's wonderful is we have the Gordon Parks Museum. So, which is at the Fort Scott Community College. And they have a beautiful building there. And they have a bunch of his artifacts. They have, oh my gosh, he had a huge library. And of course, tons of his pictures. And yes, we're getting ready for a huge celebration. And so on October 8th, we have to have all of our storyboards out in the park ready to go because it is the 50th anniversary. Every year we celebrate Gordon Parks' birthday in October. And this year is the 50th anniversary of the movie Shaft, which of course he produced and directed. And so all these very famous people are coming back here from all over the country to be part of that celebration. And they are coming on Friday, October 8th to see the storyboards out in the park. And of course his storyboard will be there. So they'll be some of the first people to actually see it. So really
how nice.
So Fort Scott is small, but it's rebuilding, and a lot of exciting things are going on here. And there are some really cool things to see, particularly if you love history. Yeah.
Definitely. And I have been to Fort Scott. It is a really nice place to go with lots of information and a lot of diverse entertainment opportunities if you're interested in learning. For those of you who are just joining us, I'm Andy Bozarth, Community Outreach and Advocacy Director for AARP Kansas. And I'm joined by Ronda Hassig, from the Lone Milken Center in Fort Scott, Kansas. And if you have any questions, I know that Ronda would be happy to answer those for you. And Ronda, we do have some comments coming in from the audience today.
Oh, good.
We have several people. We have people glad to have Fort Scott on and to talk about that. People saying they've been to Fort Scott and what a wonderful town. People from Missouri and all over Kansas saying hello. And that's, if you have questions, please let Ronda know, and I know she'll be happy to answer them.
Absolutely.
Let's see. I want to talk a little bit about what actually is inside the Lone Milken Center. You've talked about what the storyboards are on the outside, but what's inside the center?
So inside this center is a museum with these large panels. So they're bigger than storyboards. Large panels that have different unsung heroes on them. And of course, our foundational hero is Irena Sindler. So we have a whole section of the museum that's Irena Sindler, and her story is so incredible that. So she's our foundation. Our other foundational hero are two people that went to school at Little Rock High, Central High School in Little Rock, Arkansas, and were befriended members of the Little Rock Nine. And and again, found by Norm students, the teacher in Uniontown. Actually, I want to say 5 years before Irena Sindler even happened. So you walk around and there are all these different unsung heroes surrounding you. There are little computers in front of some of them that have kind of like a storyboard, but it's a computer that shows the project that the student did, the research they did, more pictures, more information. We have Stubby. Some people who've been to this museum will know Stubby. Do you know Stubby, Andy?
I do not know Stubby.
So Stubby's one of our non-human unsung heroes. And Stubby was a dog, a stray dog during World War I that was found by a guy at Yale that was training to go overseas for World War I. And he fell in love with Stubby, rescued Stubby. And Stubby was just this little pit bull, Boston Terrier looking dog, not real cute, but very smart. And he took Stubby with him on the boat, and the captain caught them and said the dog's got to go over the side. And he said, Stubby, it's time. So Stubby sat back on his back legs and saluted the captain with his right front paw. So Stubby got to stay. And Stubby became their mascot, and he could smell gas before they could. He could hear artillery before they could. And he even could differentiate between German and English and French. And he caught several people that were not supposed to be hanging around the U.S. troops. He lived through 17 battles. Came home, met three living presidents. Black Jack Pershing, got to meet him, got to be in a bunch of parades. And when he died at 9 years old, sadly, he was stuffed and put in the Smithsonian Museum, where he is today in a display, and you can go see him.
Oh, wow.
So we have a big panel on Mr. Stubby. Besides Irena, I would say Stubby's probably our favorite. He's one everybody remembers and enjoys. But there are lots of other people in here. We have a guy that was what's his last name? He's buried. His ashes are on the moon. He helped with the moon landing. He was supposed to go on the moon landing, and he had something physically that he couldn't. But he was a great help to NASA. And then eventually he found the Levy comet on Jupiter that we all know. And he died in a car crash very young. And NASA was so sad, and they loved him so much because of what he had done. They took his ashes to the moon.
Oh, wow.
So
that's
we have
amazing.
Yes. But you wouldn't, Adam Shoemaker, you wouldn't know these. You might know Shoemaker Levy Comet, but you probably wouldn't know who that really was. So, the museum is a wonderful place with video and just beautiful panels with lots of pictures and information. And then great tour guides like myself who are excited every time she tells all these stories.
It's wonderful. I love hearing your stories, and I'm so glad that you wanted to come on here today and let us know about what's going on. And we do have a question from the audience.
Good.
And is a picture of Stubby in the museum?
Oh, absolutely. Stubby, not only Stubby alive, and all the men wearing gas masks have Stubby's picture on them.
Oh, wow.
Yes. And he is, now I didn't tell you the end of the story, Mr. Stubby. Stubby went on to Georgetown with the guy that found him, Robert Conroy. He went to law school there, took Stubby with him. At halftime during football games, Stubby would go out in the field and kick the football. He probably did this, is my thinking, on his back legs for all we know. Anyway, he had a little sweater on. Well, guess what? They eventually named the Georgetown mascot the Hoyas. And if you know what a Hoya is, it's a bulldog.
Ah.
Yes. So Stubby was their first mascot. Exactly. There's even a picture of Stubby stuffed, unfortunately.
Yes.
With all of his medals. And of course he had a Purple Heart. because he was wounded with shrapnel at one point. That's why he probably only lived to be 9 years old. But he had a really exciting, interesting life. So
it sounds like he had a wonderful life.
Yes, we have multiple pictures of Stubby on the panel. You
Good.
need to come see it.
Definitely.
Yes.
Anyway, I want to thank you again, Rhonda, for joining me today. It's been a great conversation. I love hearing about all that you're doing down in Fort Scott. And again, congratulations on winning the AARP Challenge Grant this year. I look forward to coming down and seeing the storyboards that you're putting up and the park. Absolutely. It sounds like it's going to be a wonderful park.
I'll keep sending you pictures. And a heartfelt thanks to AARP. We are thrilled to work with them, and we're thrilled that we're going to have people come volunteer for us. Yeah, it'll be really awesome.
We are looking forward to it. So thank you again, Rhonda. Please join me next week for the coffee chat. We'll be here at the same time, same place, talking to another grant winner. Thanks a lot. Bye-bye.
Thank you.